Alright guys, we're back with another episode, I guess. Yeah, we're still doing this shit. Alright, where's this? All the way up there. I can't grab it now. Cool. Yeah, I just want to finish this game. I just want this to be fucking over with. The fuck they make you do this fucking side content to finish the game is fucking stupid. Because it's really just bloating the length for the sake of bloating the length. Oh, shit. Okay, cool. How far away is this? What the fuck? Dude, I'm so fucking out, dude. I just want this fucking game to be over with, dude. I literally just played an hour getting nothing done. How fucking sad is that? I played fucking Saints Row for a fucking hour, not getting anything done.
Credit cards are a slave calling. Saints are agents of trust. Property values in this neighborhood.
Fuck. Okay.
Here's your buggy.
Much obliged.
All right, what's next?
How about an attrazione?
That's not an easy car to find.
Well, it just so happens I got a particular one in mind. Belongs to Levi Marshall.
Marshall is in Atticus?
His nephew. That little turd cost me grief to no end during his summer internship. He's a student at that fancy art school in Marina.
Okay, at least it feels like we're making progress now. Hopefully there's not some dumb fucking objective of like do something that takes a minute and like 30 seconds. It's this one, right? Oof, that's far. Which car is it? This one?
Bring us back to JR.
Okay, there we go.
What about the interest? Ah, forget that mumbo jumbo. Just sign the form and get the cash. It's that easy.
Awesome. I guess I'm going out tonight after all.
Big Vince paid day loan. Get paid now, so you can pay later.
Next request from Ice Channel 1968, who wonders why we haven't played anything by Nimble. It's a fair question, Ice Giant. Here's Blurred Lights, up next.
Any luck?
There you go. Not even a scratch.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it's this one, right? All the way down there.
How about finding me a go-kart?
Seriously?
Serious as the grave.
There's a cart circuit in El Dorado. I'll search there.
Can you give me lucky number 7? It's got the neat.
Fuck. Not what I meant to do. Not yet. Retag this. Alright, there we go. I was listening to my last video, but I don't know. Kinda felt like I listened to a lot of it already. Long assignments. Deep dive. 5 hours of assignment deep dive? What the fuck? Oh, cool. Going the wrong way now. I guess I'll just continue listening to George deep dive.
After our sausage feast the night before we swapped, I woke up in that morning and I turned into MasterChef George. We had leftover sausage grease in one pot, and I was like, everyone, we are leaving it there. King George is heating it up. I'm going to boil the rice as usual in the Gerald method of steam and let it settle. And then I'm going to turn it into fried rice, and we're going to add in all the sauce that we didn't tell production we put with the sausage grease. It's going to be amazing. And guess what? It was incredible. It's one of the best. It's probably the best non-reward I've ever eaten on Survivor, and the old Villains Tribe absolutely adored it. And then we rock up into New Heroes, and Paige is like, I don't eat beans. I cook the rice and the beans separately. And then Shani's like, I don't like cooking the rice and the beans together. And I'm like, yeah, I like eating rice and beans together too, Paige. Sometimes we like mixing it up. And I stir the rice and I do this. And I'm like, you know what, Paige? This isn't your tribe. I'm going to cook something and I'm going to make fried bean rice like I did last night. And the whole tribe was like, yay! So it's like Paige annoyed people being insistent on not eating beans and eating more rice and stuff like that. And then she spoke about, she cooks a lot at night. And I'm like, I know this is not Shani's style. But Shani was still adamant it had to be Stevie. So we pull off Benji and we walk off to this back path. That was a really odd, weird path, kind of toward the shelter that no one ever went down. And then, come on Benji, Sean and I have never been here, let's go talk. And then Benji was just absolutely the worst. And I think this is why no one on the original Heroes liked him. He's like, oh, George, Shani, what happens if Paige sees me talking to you? And I go, she's trying to vote you out, Ben. Who cares? She's already told us to vote for you at this tribal council. Oh, but what about Paige? And I'm like, who cares? And then, I was like, Ben, Paige has tried to vote you off. You have nothing in common with Paige. We can be the two gays in a girl alliance. We can dominate this game. We're all going to get to merge. I know you're working with Haley, and we can all combine together at merge. Tonight we're voting for Paige. He goes, yes, Paige. Oh, I'm so happy with that. What should I tell her? Back at camp. He was talking like a robot. And then I'm just like, who gives a fuck what you tell Paige back at camp? Tell her you went for a walk with George and Shani. And then that's when Shani and I had the conversation about Paige. And then that's when I think Shani finally realised that if we voted for Stevie, as in me, Jerry, and Sean, then it wasn't going to be a 4-4 that left the rock side door option, which was always Shani's option, not mine. And then we have that iconic interaction. I don't think God likes Paige, and Johnny's spectacular bombastic style. What do you think God thinks? And then she realised we needed to vote Paige. Me and Sean go up to Jerry. Jerry's been sitting down in the Jerry chair, and he's like, George, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, what did they tell you? And he goes, Benji and Paige just walked up to me. They're all voting for you. Me and Stevie, we're happy to vote for whoever you and Johnny want. And we go Paige. And then Jerry's like, yes, I can't stand her. Yes, we're voting for Paige. Stevie's on board for Paige. Obviously don't tell Stevie that Johnny was trying to vote him off like 10 minutes earlier. And then I know it's 4-4. Johnny knows it's 4-4. I have no doubt in my mind, Stevie, whose loyalty to me was supreme at that stage, and so was Jerry, but I'm giving him his revenge mission, starting with the person he liked probably less than Ben Page, and he's going to Rocks. And Sean knows that if I go, she's literally gone next because that tribe's not winning a challenge. So we obviously vote on Page. Sean knows that the votes are coming on me. Sean very thankfully plays the idol for me, and we control the tribe. And it was just a tipping point. And then I realised it, and then I even joked about it with Sean that night. And then we were cackling in the hammock that we were literally guaranteed to make merge. We could lose every single challenge. We could lose every single challenge to keep Liz safe without ever handing over, an idol to Liz. Not that we know that Liz found herself an idol at that Chinese reward the next day, and then Shani herself found another idol, the original one that she had, which she didn't tell me about, and she passed off to Geordie. So, yeah, it was great. So sometimes I do wonder, because I didn't know Shani had 2 items then. She kept the one she found at Villains to herself. Does Shani play an idol for me if she's only got 1? I still think she does. I still think she does because she literally would have been a dead duck without an idol on that tribe. And
without the majority. I mean, she would have had her
without
idol.
the majority and without me, she would have been dead. But instead, we have the majority, and she is told by Liz that Liz has found an idol. She literally took all of my advice on board, and then found her own idol, looking after a reward. I couldn't be more proud of her. That's the kind of capacity building that I kind of do with these players, and why they're very happy to work with me to give them game advice. And then, like, Sean is happy to save Geordie. Liz has an idol, and we can lose every challenge and we're sweet. And that was the situation after the Page vote on our tribe.
So did you know that Johnny was playing the idol for you before the tribal council to protect against that 4-4? Yeah, and Jerry had given you a name. And
Jerry had given us the exact plan.
Yeah, well, that's good. Because at the time I was like, I hope that Jerry's just like leaving this 4-4 up to fate. Like, I hope that he's, giving them some ammo, and he did, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, do I know Shawnee's playing it 100%? No. But do I know that's her plan walking in there? Yes. So am I doing anything to upset Shawnee at tribal council? Obviously not.
So Jerry in this, reconnecting with him obviously is such an important alliance. Was there anything like, hey Jerry, you left me? They gave you the choice, and it was, I did have to pull out one of the best moves of all time to get myself back into the position there.
I think it was stupid Jerry went back to a minority where he would have been voted off and then didn't have a brain explosion. Yes, I did. I absolutely did. Because if I'm stuck with Shani Vincent instead of Jerry on that new Heroes tribe, it would have been much harder for me. It would have been much harder for me. She's a very different person to Jerry. And then she's also a lovely person who I hung out with post-game. But my views on people that have never seen a second of Survivor are quite well known. I've already spoken about it on this podcast with Sarah Fraser. But she was most definitely one of those people. And I have the attitude, sometimes if you get a gig, just do the slightest bit of research for it, if that's how it would be treated. Before you go to tribe council. So it's just like, I know why Jerry went back. He's like, I went back to save Shani. And then, did he save Shani? No. But thank God he saved himself, because then I had him for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, let alone the bad position he put you in. But you know what? You both survived to this point, and that's great. And now you're at the swap, and you have these 3 kind of hostages. So how are you looking at it? As you said, you can move all the challenges.
Hostages. That's how I look at it.
I love that line. What was your priority in this in terms of Ben, Flick, and Matt in like an order of hostage sacrifice?
I wanted to keep Flick right to the very end because of my post-Montgomery relationship with her. And that came out when the minority all voted for Jerry. Because I had it.
Dude, how far away is this?
Heart to heart with Flick, and I go, Flick, you truly are like a sister to me. I go, just think at the merge. I said this to her, and I go, just think at the merge. You might need me. I generally like you. You're obviously voting for me, Shawnee, Stevie, or like me, Shawnee, Stevie, or Jerry. Obviously they voted for, and I'm like, just don't make it me because I might need to work with you. And when those votes were coming up for Jerry, I was like, this was a Ben vote. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, Flick's finally not voting for me. She's realised that I can actually be a number for her, and that meant a lot to me. And I didn't forget that, and I don't want to skip ahead, and I'll get to it later, but I didn't forget that when she cut the deal with Tribal Council to sacrifice Simon in a new merge majority. And I'm just like, she does want to work with me. So Flick was always at the end, and at that stage, Matt, I had a great first night at Heroes with Matt. We're very naughty, and I can talk about it on the deep dive. So that first night was so much fun, and I was a very bad boy that night. It was a very dark camp, there was no moon, and obviously I don't know my layout. And then I went walking around camp, and then I stumbled upon the night producer's thermal coffee mug whilst I was alone. And this is just only like Survivor players would understand. And then I got so excited, Shannon. It was like I found a reward. And I'm like, well, it's not my fault.
Gotta drive
The
this
night
over to
producer
Nemo.
just left his mug there. It's there for the taking. It's Survivor. So I'm like, I hope it's alcohol. I hope it's a vodka. So I'm drinking it, and it's like a lukewarm instant coffee with milk. And I'm just like, So I scold about half of it. And then the first person I walk up to is Maddie. I go, Maddie. It's like, what? I go, the night producer left coffee at his chair. Go now. So Maddie goes up. He drinks probably a quarter of it. And then he comes back and he's all giggling. We're just laughing. And then the night producer came back. He must have gone to the bathroom or something. And then I walk up to Johnny. I go, shut up. I go, there's coffee by the night producer. And then I go, don't worry, I'm going to distract the night producer. I'm going to go tell him, please go shine a torch. I can't see where the well-to-well is. I'm really, really thirsty. So the night producer slowly follows me just around the corner at camp, shining his torch. And he's like, all right, George, just follow the ocean, whatever, and make your way to the well. And he just turns around, heads back. And then as he's holding his torch to go back to camp, he caught Johnny drinking the coffee.
No.
It was a very big break of the rules that I took full responsibility for, and I'm sorry to everybody listening. But that bonded Maddie and me, because we spent that whole night basically awake just talking about life. So I didn't have an issue with Maddie, but I did have an issue with Ben. I took it personally that he didn't want to work with the other gay man on the drive. And it was unforgivable because Johnny and I begged him to work with us. And when he decided not to, I was like, well, there's no hope for him. He just has to go. So Ben was always my priority target. And I told myself I'd had life chats with Maddie, but he's still hero strong. And then Jerry kicks into gear. And then Jerry keeps telling me Matt's good. And then I'm in that spot with Shonny. I decide to take hostages. I do the big hostage announcement at that next challenge, the reward challenge, the Chinese one that we lost. And then that just kicked Flick and Matt into overdrive. And then they both come up and offer themselves to me as double agents. And I'm like, well, this is fantastic now. And then Ben has this stupid chat that just really upsets Stevie. Going, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, oh, bullshit. You know, like I had the same reaction as Stevie when he goes, what a load of crap, whatever he said. I think that made me edit. And then I'm just like, this guy's just full of crap. Like, that's why no one on the Heroes Tribe wanted to work with him, because he didn't stand for anything. It's just like in the game, in the real world, it's fantastic. And I think if Ben had a chance to play again the second time, he wouldn't be so like, you know, lacking in principles as he was in Samoa. But it's just like he should have come up to me and said, oh, I made a huge tactical error and I'm sorry, and then it would have been different. But like, just stand up for something, bro. Like, and he couldn't do that, so he was definitely rock bottom. Then you had the important scene that does make the edit, which is when I'm sitting down with Jerry and Shonny in the shelter. And then I say to Maddie, get on board the winning ship. I go, you've got a decision to make, and sometimes the first person to get on board will be the one that gets on board the ship. And then I left Maddie, and I left him. And Jerry gave him space. And then the key thing with Maddie was this, and this kind of will lead, I don't want to skip too far ahead because we're still at the band and the courtyard and everything. But when Matt comes back to Jerry and I 2 or 3 days later, and he says, I'm on board, and I'm like, why? And he goes, because this is the best thing for me in the game. I want to work with you and Jerry. And I'm like, that's all I needed to hear. I go, I've given this bloke space. He's clearly a stable game player. He's not a ratty. He doesn't, you know, he's the same in the real world as he is in the game. I got to know him on that first naughty coffee boy night. I'm like, this is true. I go, Matt is reliable. And we'll get back to, you know, the whole Stevie vote later. So my order of the 3 hostages, it was always Ben. It was never Flick because of the pre-existing relationship that we had. And then there was Matt in the middle.
Yeah, so there's a lot happening even before we get to even Ben and the cookie idol. And the first thing in that is that Shonny's going to pass an idol to Geordie, and you said you didn't necessarily know about that idol?
I didn't know then. I found out that night. So she didn't tell me before the challenge, but she did tell me the night the Tribal Council was happening. So when I walk into that challenge, I expect to see Geordie there.
Yeah, and then you make the hostage comment. I'm like, this is a lot for Geordie. Considering where you were at with Geordie, like, were you really that upset that Geordie had gone? Was it more of an affront to your team, to Shonny's idol? Was that the issue, or were you like, you know, still hoping that you could work with Geordie down the line?
I always knew never to close a door. So I needed to be known that I wasn't happy with what happened. It was important for Shonny to hear that. And the others needed to know I was dead serious in my intent to sacrifice every hero when we lost every single challenge.
Yeah, so that's going to lead to throwing challenges. And I'd love to hear your strategy on throwing the challenges, because we see that you throw the challenge after the one where Geordie goes, which is where Ben is going to go, and that you don't seem to throw challenges after that. Now, you find out that Liv has an idol, so I guess that's kind of the safety in that. But you do have kind of like sitting ducks. So what was your strategy on, like, we're going to throw this one, we're going to sacrifice a hostage, and then moving forward, what you were thinking about throwing challenges for them?
So that's a very good question. So we won immunity after Ben went, and that was the
ironically.
No, what was that? Sorry.
That was a memory challenge. Ironically, in that you can't remember it.
No, correct. Yeah, a huge irony. Yeah. So I think we would have won that anyway, to be fair with you. But that was the immunity. Yeah, that was the immunity episode that we obviously we don't know beforehand. But it doesn't hurt to be immune. I mean, I am pragmatic at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So in that hostage situation, And then I never doubted my position in the New Heroes tribe. Never doubted it once. In that hostage situation, if you're going to make the threat, you better come through with it, you know? And then I did come through with it. We sacrificed Ben. And then it's also a case of keeping the threat live. So Ben was of no value to anyone on that tribe. But Flick and Matt weren't. And they...
Is that what you meant, by the way, when you said I've got 2 hostages? Were you leaving out Ben for that reason?
I was leaving out Ben for that very specific reason. But also, like we pointed out in your podcast, all 3 of them thought they were double agents for me, so they all needed to think that the other 2 were not double agents, because they never had that conversation together as far as I'm aware. But really, in my mind, I had 2 hostages and Ben who was willing to just stroke at the sharks. But it's just like, usually with my words, it gets interpreted many, many different ways. And I do that very deliberately. So, in Flick's mind, I'm talking about Ben and Matt. In Matt's mind, Flick and Ben, and in Ben's mind, I'm talking about the other 2. And then in the villains' minds, I'm only talking about Flick and Matt. So, they're the hostages of value, and that's when the villains get scared, and that's when the pressure happens. And Liz, to her own credit, established herself and her own relationships and agency in that tribe. So, do I know that Johnny and I don't really know that's happened at that stage?
But you know she has an idol.
Well, we know she has an idol. But at the memory challenge, so this is after. We don't know Liz has ingrained herself during the benfo, but then the next day, at the memory challenge, Liz told Shonny the Haley plan. So when we come back to camp after we won, and then I saw a big note on a tree, like, oh my god, I found an advantage, I'm going to speak to it, and then I pulled it off, and it was like, you're going to tribal council, and and then we're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then Shonny pulls me aside and is like, oh, don't worry about Liz, George. Haley's being voted off tonight. And then I just go, what? That's literally my reaction. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, Liz is working with Nina, David, and Sam, and they're going to blindside Haley. And I went, no, they're not. So I'm like, that's literally what my reaction was. And my plan was to run in and intervene, and I was planning to run up to Haley and go, save yourself, Queen! literally, that's what I'm telling myself. I was going to create this big scene, and I was going to go, Haley and Sean, you've been screwed over. I was going to do it all. I was going to let off a grenade to just break up their dynamic very publicly. But then we get there halfway through the tribal, and then immediately JLP's like, you guys aren't getting involved, and one of the others are going to mutiny. And he also said we couldn't talk. But once I heard that, I was like, oh, this is great. Haley's going to be safe now, and I know Liz is going to write her name down. The only thing I didn't want to happen was Simon coming to the tribe, but then I'm like, well, what do I care if he comes? We'll just throw the challenge and vote him off. But at the same time, I was doing smoke signals to Haley. I was just looking at her, and she told me after the game, she's like, George, I tried not to look at you then, and I was going like this. I was like, yes! Anytime she got a question that was like, are you in trouble? And I'm just like, yes!
Yeah, well, okay, so I want to get to that with Haley, because obviously, as you said, it was alarming to find that out. Before we do, this is the tribal council where Ben's going to go. It kind of seems like a perfect scenario where you're targeting him anyway, and he's also the person they're least likely / not at all going to play the cookie idol on, because you're told that Simon's passed his idol. So there's so much in this. They're relying on hopefully Stevie.
Yeah, Stevie is so loyal to Simon, actually went up to me and Gary and said, Flick's got an idol. And I'm like, oh, thank you for letting me, this is at the mat. I'm like, thanks for letting us know. I'm going to confront her when we get back to camp. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, he was super loyal, so there's not a lot there. I guess the main thing is, because the vote's pretty simple in every possible way, but the cookie idol, and that being exposed as fake, and kind of I feel like the bonding you have with Flick over the fact that Simon is public enemy number one. Tell us the thoughts around the cookie idol reveal, and not the end, but a peak, one of many peaks in this long cookie idol arc.
So again, because I know Flick very, very well, and I know her character, and she's very pure in her intentions, and she generally likes helping other people more than herself. And based on that, I told Shonny and Jerry that I think it's likely that Flick is going to play her idol that she's got, because I have no reason to believe at that stage it's not an idol. And we only find that out once JLP confirms it. So I told them Flick is more likely to play an idol for Matt. She may play for herself, but Ben is of zero value to the other side, and to Flick, and to Matt, so she's definitely not going to play it for Ben. And then we were going to dump on Ben. And if we were wrong and it's a real idol, then Jerry goes home, and it wasn't me, because I did my own legwork with Flick separately that afternoon. And again, I was right about Flick. And then sometimes that's the thing about past players, you just know how they tick. And I knew how Flick worked. And Flick's an incredible person. And when I saw Sean and Haley put on their Instagram socials that Flick's the best ever social player in Survivor, I couldn't agree more, because she's just so likable, and she's just so good at building natural bonds, and conversation with Flick can flow for weeks. And that's very hard to do when you're tired and hungry. And that's what made her so threatening at the next vote. But going to the Ben vote, on the spur of the moment, I'm like, well, I can have fun here. I'm going to cut a deal with Flick. And I remembered on your last podcast, was I serious about the deal? And the answer is yes, Shannon. If Flick threw her idol in that fire, I can guarantee you 2 things. A, I would have run up and stuck my hand in a burning fire to pull it out to have myself an idol. And I would have, because that was part of my reasoning. And B, we would not have voted her out.
You weren't voting her out anyway. You
didn't know that.
Right, okay. She has implicit immunity with the idol, and if she doesn't, you could vote for Ben.
If she said, I've thrown at George, there we go, vote for Ben, I would have gone, and still voted for Ben. Great win.
Right. And you wanted Ben out anyway, so I guess the cookie idol didn't really save Flick. As beautiful as that was as like a narrative element. Like even if Simon never gets the cookie idol to Flick, like you're still voting for Ben there.
I think the same scenario happens, because we still would be very worried that one of them had an idol.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But you're saying Ben was possibly a priority anyway.
He was
even if
100%
no one had
the
an idol.
priority.
Yeah, so
When he refused to work with the gay man and the big gay ally, it was like, bye, Felicia. It was literally that. If you dug your own grave, you chose the people that cast you to the curb, and like there's playing from the bottom and there's playing on the bottom, and Ben just wanted to be on the bottom for some reason.
Well, this leads to one of my favorite funny moments of the season, which is getting to the match where you and Flick are going to throw Simon under the bus for the fake cookie idol. What did you think it happened? Like, this is not real. Did you think that it had been a ploy from Simon? Did you think Simon had been fooled? Because it leads to the line where Simon's like, you know what, George? I have no idea what's going on. And you're like, well, that's very clear to all of us, which is one of the funnier moments of the season for me. What did you think happened with this? How did this happen? It wasn't real.
Because that night, Johnny said to me, she's like, George, I found one of those on Billings as well. That's how I found my first idol. And I was like, So then I'm like, I just need to add as much fuel to the fire between Flick and Simon as possible, because they didn't have the best relationship on the Brawn Tribe. And I just need to rile Flick up and let Flick do as much grenade throwing as possible. But in my mind, I'm like, I just think Simon's so naive that he probably thought it was a real idol when Shani and Ben, ironically Ben, both found the same thing. Were like, well, this is a clue, and we don't have any reason to suspect it's anything but a clue.
Yeah, so unfortunate 1 and 4 Simon, and that, as Simon said, this day sucked. But moving through that, as you said, we went to the mutiny, we've kind of got a little bit out of order. But to get through to where we are,
That's something for you.
Liz is going to come back, she mutinies, and you have a full discussion about Haley. You already noted, as you said now, you tell Haley at that challenge, and you don't throw the challenge coming up. You are going to lose it. Was that a consideration for you? Because Haley's clearly not in a good spot, considering she was about to be voted out.
We didn't need to throw it. That was holding up the sandbags. So
Yeah.
there wasn't
Before the challenge, had you thought maybe up?
No. There was no, and it would have been like there was always a risk. So we never thought about throwing it. But I think it was in that episode. We had the reward challenge where we just we completely outgunned when they won the sandwich reward.
Yeah, that's when you tell Haley.
Yes, correct. So I didn't just tell Haley. I also told Sean, and I also told Simon. I told all 3 of them. Yeah, I told all 3 of them. The other 4 are working together, and Nina's orchestrated it. So that's what let off the grenade back at the villains camp when Haley brought it all up, and then like it wasn't just Haley, like Sean and Simon were there to verify it. I needed them all to know that all 3 of them were in a minority, and I can't remember why I knew. I don't know if I got told about the Sean promise at Merge or not. Maybe I got told at Merge, but I knew that Simon was working with Sean because I knew that Simon was obsessed with Sean because I just know Simon, and I knew that Haley was in a complete duo with Sean. So if all 3 felt like they were on the bottom, then they would have started doing a lot of horse trading. I just needed to start creating division between them. And then it was also the bridge to Sean and Simon telling myself, if we didn't merge at that reward challenge, which means we're merging at 12. Like, it was just that simple. So it's starting to, like, my mentality has shifted to, we're not in tribes now, we're in merge now. And I want to work with Haley, Simon, Sean at merge. They can come up to the fore. But at that stage, Matt has pledged his complete loyalty to me and Jerry.
Yeah, I think this was a better plan to try and create division without necessarily throwing, because as we're going to see, it's a tough vote, but for you to go to that tribal council where you lose anyway, let alone to throw to get to that point, we're going to see it now. Like, this tribal council where Stevie is going to go home, there's different interests. Liz and Shani are very much, wanting Flick to stay. You want Flick gone, you want to keep Matt, and then we're going to see, you go to Jerry in the tribal council, we're going to see Stevie be sacrificed, and I think you've kind of spoken to a little bit in the exit about kind of like, Stevie be erratic. Jerry obviously feels really good about Matt. But where is your thought process in that when you're being told Liz is going to play an idol? She verified for me in the exit interview she would have done that. It was a tough spot, so I get not thinking in that position. Yeah,
what I liked about Liz is she was ruthless, and I think when you have a similar Eastern European background, that's just how you are. And then like the more Liz learned from me, the more cutthroat and ruthless she was getting, and I always admired that about her. Like, she wasn't just there for a ride. She might have been just a casual Survivor fan beforehand, but she wanted to play a good winning game, and that was a good winning move for her. So I never questioned her intent or her motive. No, it was a horrific move. So this goes back to camp. So it's just like I am having long discussions with Shani and Liz, but mainly Shani, because I knew Shani was the one steering the ship.
Is there no way to do it?
Like, sadly, like Liz, and maybe why she didn't get much of an edit before her time alone on the villain, is because she was just performed to Shani and had no agency at all in that relationship, like full stop. But like, that's a separate discussion. So I am literally having long discussions with Shani, going, like, literally begging her, going, I know what it's like, and I'm like, you need to understand what Haley lived through in the Outback. Me, Gerald, Kez, and Emmett were 100% confident that Flick was with us. We would communicate with Flick at every single challenge, just like Flick is communicating with the other side now. Flick is doing Flick. She's doing survival mode. You end up liking her, and then she's going to run back to the other side, and you're going to be screwed. That's what I said to Sean. And I remember even saying to her, I'm not going to be screwed because I have a relationship with Flick. You're going to be screwed. And then, like, there was no reasoning. And then I kept thinking about it. And I'm like, well, what are you concerned about when you save Matt? And she's like, oh, it's nothing. I like Flick. And like, that's all you would get out of Shani. I like Flick. I like Flick. Flick's good with the other side. It's like, yes, she's very good with the other side. She's running back to him. You know, like, that is always what was going to happen. So going into that vote, it was the ball-breaking decision. So Liz and Johnny had told me they were comfortable voting off Flick, and walking into that tribal council, I think Flick's going home. And then obviously it changes. So it changes in discussion. And Johnny's doing all the whispering because we had that gap between me and Liz. And then I'm starting to realise that they were not on board, like clearly not on board, and they were thinking probably in the gap, in the wait between Kent and Tribal Council, that they still wanted to keep Flick, and it was just, you know, stay calm, and then, like, no emotion, yes, no change in my end, still voting for Flick. The boys are voting for Flick, you know, and then, like, then they could do the numbers in their head, and then if they decided to come on board, maybe they were going to think in their mind, well, did it make a difference? And then the idle threat comes, which is just amazing by Liz, just from a power play, not from a strategic play, but a power play.
Yes. A power play with a wrong read is what, though?
Correct. No, I know, I agree with everything you say in your podcast, and then we obviously see what happened in the next episode. And then, yes, I was right, and no, I never said, I told you so. I told you so. But it's just like, I respect the power play, and I really do, because I need to play with players with balls, and Liz has great balls. Probably not the best analogy, but it's true. So the power play comes out, and then I'm going like this. I'm literally caught between, you know, a rock and a hard place. And then there were many things I could have done, and then I heard all the permutations. I could have just said, oh yeah, definitely voting for Matt. Still buckled down, voted for Flick with the boys, and Idle doesn't get played and apologise in the morning. I'm not going to do that. Like, if I'm voting for Flick there, I go into the merge with Jerry, Matt, and at best, Stevie as my only allies in the game. I'm the first one voted off. It would have been a 100% guarantee. And then there was a bit of discussion that we didn't see in between about deals. And then Flick made an impassionate deal, and then the deal that she promised, she goes, like,
fuck off! Are you fucking serious?
Stick with me and Maddie.
What even hit?
Stick with me, and we are going to vote for Simon. She's like, I promise you we're going to vote for Simon. And then I'm sitting down here going, okay, so I know Flick has no connection to Simon. Simon's only connection on that other tribe is the minority tree that he's in. I've got the connection with Haley, and I've given legitimate information to Sean, who at this stage, I think he has an idol because he went to the sandwich reward first. And then that's just the default assumption that I made. So I'm like, okay, is this the worst thing? Because this buys me 2 to 3 days to work out the true dynamic on the merge tribe when we should merge tomorrow at 12. But that also was not guaranteed. Like, we could have just merged at 11. Like, lots of random things were happening this season that were not extreme in terms of, like, game mechanics, but I was not guaranteeing a merge the next day. And then that's when I pull aside Jerry, and then I let Jerry make the decision. Because if Jerry said, keep Stevie, I probably would have kept Stevie. I probably would have. I would have sided with the girls. I would have walked up to them and said, Jerry's on board, I've just convinced him, we're sticking together to the end, the 3 of us and Jerry, and then we would have worked it out.
Dude, this car is so fucking floaty.
Jerry says keep Maddie, and then I'm just like, oh
my god, dude.
I think it's going to be hard to convince Shani to get rid of Stevie. I mean, she's tried to do it once already, like literally on the page show, and I walk up to Shani, and I come up with a compromise. Can we get rid of Stevie? And you saw their reaction. They both went, yes. And I told myself this. I go, I've kept Matt, who I know is 100% legitimate in his loyalty and does have the capacity to be a double agent, like he promised. I've kept Flick, and Flick will clearly know I'm responsible for saving her. And I don't think Flick is going to target me if things go wrong.
We got 3 more.
Exactly what she did. Exactly what she did, as I predicted, because of my strong bond with Flick after the outback. And what happens if Flick's going to hold her part of the deal?
This takes so
we have
long.
a consensus vote, blast Simon out of the water, and the shit can hit the fan the day after. And I was like, this works for me. And what I lost was a good person, but it was so energy draining to deal with Stevie. It was. He was adamant. He actually thought we had 5 votes on the Ben vote. Like that wasn't some edited scene. He was like, oh, and then the 5th vote, and it's like, no. And then every single time he would insist on smoke and mirrors. And you saw Shani and Jerry's reaction. Jerry was like, no, smoke and mirrors, Steve. And then I have to tell him, Palmer, Stevie, don't actually have to tell them anything. We can just vote them out. But we have to tell them smoke and mirrors. And then, like, in the back of my mind, I'm telling myself, you have limited time to speak to people when you've got 12 people on a tribe. And then I'm going to spend 70% of my time convincing Stevie that his harebrained scheme cannot be implemented, like, mathematically or politically or socially. And then I was like, well, he has to go. And then I knew where I lost when I cut him. I lost a guaranteed juror vote. I lost someone that would have been very time-consuming to micromanage but would never have turned against me. But someone who also would always have been below me on the pecking order of targets to get out first. And I'm just like, it was the right decision, and then the proof was in the pudding at the merge feast.
100%, George. No notes at all on any of the decisions. I think that I can't find something to disagree with in terms of what you did.
I feel Swift here. New Flex Super Glue. What's truly amazing is that our Flex Super Glue is so strong that just... Wait,
ChumbaCasino.com. Live the feeling coffee. Like, you guys are lucky for what you're getting. So I just want to point that out. You're gonna merge. And this merge vote is such a beautiful thing. And I think for me, possibly a favorite move of yours for me, even though, yes, I mean, look, episode 7 speaks for itself, and there's some great morality votes, the way vote as an example, but this is such a social thing. And you talk about how important the merge vote is. And you get this vigilante alliance together. You work out very quickly. Everyone works out that Slick back, because as we know, she's a great social player, but the best liar. And you're gonna bring in Haley. You're gonna bring in Matt Raven brought in. You're gonna bring in Simon. How did you look at constructing this army that is going to be the dominant faction through the beginning part, and then it waves through the whole merge?
So I backed my instinct on Flick, and then I completely assessed her behaviour at the feast. So I chose the middle seat. So we did have a twist at the merge feast. I don't know if anyone's spoken about this before, but JLP had a proposal. So we all drew a rock, numbered from 1 to 12, and in order of 1 to 12, you had a choice to go back to camp, where you would be given a very specific map on where the idol that I think Flick missed and Nina ended up finding was hidden. And no one took up that offer. Sadly for me, I got rock number 1. And if I, at rock number 1, said, yes, I'm going back to camp, I reckon there would have been 11 people following me, and there is no merge feast. If I got rock 10, 11, or 12, I would have gone back to camp. I think Haley had 11. I think Simon might have had 10. David Zaharakis definitely had rock 12. And he should have gone back to camp. Like, if you are looking for an idol alone, and you can just go, I just wanted to find it before one of the others did, and it would have been completely okay. But no one went back to camp, and I told myself, sit in the middle and see who sits next to me. And on my right I had Liz, and I had Flick. And then
Fun little wrinkle, by the way. I like that. Interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. But because no one took it up, it never made me because it would be boring. But tell LaRue in South Africa it's a good merge feast.
I'm sure he's listening. Yeah, very
good. But so it was very fun, and just sadly I picked the wrong rock, as usual in most of my challenges. But so that happens, and then Flick was right near Sam and David, and all she did was talk, and I'm like, oh my god. I am getting mad vibes from Flick. I know what it's like. She's doing what she did with us in the Outback. She's immediately detaching from her fake allies and going back to her primary alliance. And then I remember, and it showed it in the episode very well. And then I'm like, I have to go to Haley. And then I think when I can't remember who was talking, it might have been Nina. And then Haley was like, should I be worried? I was like, absolutely, you should. You definitely should be worried, because that alliance could have just returned on Haley again as the previous winner and a challenge threat. It's not going to be me. And then I remember telling myself, I built the bridge with Simon when I told him he's in a minority, when I told Haley and Sean about Nina. And then I have to make it very clear that I'm fine with him. And they didn't show the conversation, but I completely cleared the air with him at the feast. And we were cheesing and drinking beers. And then, as I'm looking up again, all you can see is Flick talking to Sean, and Flick talking to the others. I'll just say the others, because it's just the easiest way to describe it. That's how I was looking at the time. And I remember coming back to the middle, and I think they did show my chat to Liz, but I'm like, we're screwed, but it was a bit more intense. And then I think our chat was still going, and Flick was next to us, and I'm like, I don't care if she can hear us, we're screwed. And then I was right. And then I think the sequence of events when we got back into camp was Matt hurried back off that afternoon and night, and then when he relayed back that their primary target is going to be Shani, it was Shani on the warpath, and then it was like, and you saw the chat that Shani and Liz had with me, and it was exactly as I predicted. It was not Haley, because Haley has a relationship with Flick. It's not me. I have a relationship with Flick, and Shani and Liz got played like a fool and like a fiddle by Flick, exactly like I told them she was doing. But it went into game mode, and then the best thing that happened for me was this. You saw all the original heroes, including Mole Matt on the Mole tribe, and they went off in the hammock, and then the one person that didn't go off in the hammock was Simon. And then that's when I walked up to him at night, and I was like, Simon, I go, you are not in an alliance. You are not in that alliance. And he's like, oh, I can't be working with you because Shani and Liz hate me. And I was like, well, not necessarily so. So then the next day happened, and then I think I had a day chat with Haley and Sean, actually first on the first day, and that's when I laid it all out to both of them. So you only see the second chat I had with Sean, which was oh my god, Sean's not on board. He's going to stay being on the bottom rung of an alliance that was really happy to have him up as a backup vote to Haley. So Haley's on board. Sean's saying yes at that stage, and then I didn't want to rest on my laurels. I had that individual world chat with Simon where we had the formal piece, and I built the winning ship. I built the vigilantes, and then after the community challenge, Matt came back with a concrete confirmed plan because we just hanged around in camp very deliberately, myself, Lee, Shani, and Jerry, and then I think Simon was basically not talking to me until then, which was good. And Matty comes back and he goes, this is what's going to happen, Sean. You're the target. They're going to tell Liz to play the idol on herself, and that she's the real target when it's you. And Sam's going to come here and do the delivery. And then Sam came in and he did the delivery. And I wish I got to know Webby, because I have. I stayed with him and his fiancée in Los Angeles when I went there. And he's such a great bloke. And I just didn't get to see the real Sam out there. Because if I did, I would have been honoured to have worked with him, because he's such a good person. He's so intelligent, and he had such a good questions when he was on the jury bench as well as a juror. But when Sam comes and does that to me, I'm like, oh my god, he has to be the priority target for me. I'm like, I've got no relationship with him. He's just such a terrible liar. And the mole with Matt has just confirmed what the real plan is. So Johnny's then on the warpath. Leaves as a defensive measure just in case Haley and Simon weren't on board. Decides to play the idol for Shawnee. I think you saw me quite confidently saying, I think we're cooking. But like when in doubt, play the idol. It's just the most simple survivor rule. And then I had obviously spoken to Sean with Haley, and I don't think Liz and Shawnee knew I had that chat with Sean and Haley. But I had to go up and just reassess Sean because Matt was like, Sean's not on board with us. He's on board with them. And then he was just an awful liar because he just confirmed the dummy plan to me. Oh, don't worry, George, you'll find. Liz is going to go home. She better play the idol for herself. You better go tell her she's your friend. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a fool. Like, and then I think I said to him, get on board the winning shit. I kept saying to him, I go, get on board the winning shit for Sam. Sam's going home. And he's like, oh, maybe, yeah. And I'm just like, oh, idiot. And then that's when I run back to camp. And then obviously we changed the boat to the literal last resort, David Zaharakis, for no particular reason. But really, in hindsight, getting rid of David Zaharakis was great because it completely isolated Nina. And then the day after, like, Haley was telling me just how close she was to David. And then it always left the trapdoor open for Nina, who basically had no one after that boat apart from Sam.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, getting rid of David Zaharakis, having heard from so many people that he was like a social linchpin in the Heroes, was actually like a pretty good bet. But in terms of Sean, so that's why you're going to Sean, and I think we spoke about it at the time, like, I mean, you're giving more context here in the fact that you're even giving him information, but you see him as left out of that core Heroes because he had been, so that's why you're trying to like build a bridge with
There you go. One more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, Sean had all the information he needed to make the correct decision in terms of being the rats over numbers. Like, he actually knew
I'm pretty sure this
Matt
ain't what you
and Haley
on.
were on board with Simon, so I don't know what went wrong in his head. I don't know why he even believed Haley's fake split plan, but like something just went across there. But it's like, I look at Sean and I see someone that's successful in life, and that's why I want to work with Sean. Like, success attracts success. And like I like at the time I couldn't understand why he didn't want to do it, but
Alright guys, we let me back more Saints Row. Alright, so that episode uploaded. This sucks though. I really wanted to finish the game tonight. I thought for a chance there was a chance that would happen after that first episode, and fuck dude, this took so long.
Never closed the door on Sean.
But whatever.
The only thing I knew about Sean was this, and then Haley explained it to me the day after
Time is
that
good. It's like fuck me dude. It's almost 3:30 in the morning too.
As a shield.
Yeah, we're done after this. I'm
tired.
crystallized
in my head.
But I don't know. I guess we'll finish this on maybe Thursday. We'll see. I do stream tomorrow.
Having gone to that sandwich first, not that I realised he got it at the pizza box. And he didn't want to rock the boat. So
I don't know. Maybe we'll just like fucking play this tomorrow during the day. I don't know.
But yeah, that was like disappointing.
I guess I technically could.
Even at that stage in the game, I'm starting to look at in-game options, and I am telling myself is Haley, Jerry, and Matt, and then the person that I wanted to be still in a core group of 5 moving forward with is Sean. Because if I'm going to a final 3 immunity challenge, because like I said in my exit media, I just assume it is a final 2 because we merge at 12 and the jury starts at 11. If I'm going to a final immunity challenge, I need Sean there because he's one of the few people that I can beat in endurance.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the final 2 and 3, so that is clearly everyone thought it was the final 2.
Every single
like Liz and Matt, but that's like an open conversation that you're all having with each other.
We're all thinking it's 2s. Like, we're all thinking it's 2s. And then when Matt comes to, like, me for reassurance, I go, Matt, I'm happy with 3rd. Like, I didn't just say that to him at the end. He knew that the whole way through, and I think that's why I never deviated. And I did hear his exit media as well. And then I know his plan was to take Jerry. But it's just like, we all thought it was a final 2. And it's just a catastrophic assumption that we all made.
Yeah, especially
and it's easy to think in hindsight, you know, they wanted a 3, arguably in All-Stars and my first season, and then there were Medivacs, and then I think when you tell yourself, oh, there was a Medivac this time, and, you know, there's an episode remaining, it's like you're not going to think it's a jury remover. So, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. It's hard to predict production. So, to move on from there, the
where
vigilante
do
ship is
I
going to
go?
sail forward, as it does, to take out Flick. I feel like you're really consolidating at this point. You know, Matt steals the vigilante name. Like, this is, I feel like, the most kind of alliance maintenance that you do, but it kind of feels like Flick has to be the vote there for a lot of people who want revenge on Flick. You've had a relationship with Flick.
Yeah, I don't want it to be Flick.
Yeah, I don't think you would, but it seems like
I don't want it to be Flick. Haley doesn't want it to be Flick. The only person that was driving Flick was Shawnee. So Shawnee felt so burnt and vengeful after being deceived by Flick, and a few other things happened in camp as well, between all of the girls, that I won't get into because it's not my story to tell. But Shawnee felt so burnt by Flick that it was her priority, and that wasn't a fight worth fighting. So in my mind, do I particularly care what order the minority alliance get voted off in? No, it's not a good
work.
But do I want Flick going home ahead of Sam, who has barely said a word to me in like 2 days in a merge camp? He's not watched my season because he only ever watched and played in season 1. No, I'd rather send Sam there and just let him appreciate the game from the jury benches with no bad blood from me, so he vote for me at the end. Which I still think it will. But yeah, we lost Flick.
Alright, so again, we'll do that next time.
Probably very quiet, straightforward, because it was never in doubt.
Yeah.
And that's what happened there.
That's, I guess, a pretty simple one. I mean, I guess though the one thing is that you can't split the vote. So it's just the hope because it's at 7-4, and you say like if they have an idol, it's you or Shawnee. Like, is that just the fear in that? Like, there's nothing really to be done, right?
I mean, that's what it is, and it was me, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was actually Matt.
Oh, was it Matt?
Yeah.
Oh, bless Flick, shifting the vote away from me again. But yeah. So look, it was always going to be me and Shawnee votes. Like that's just what every player thought as well, and I think that was the benefit of